Grand Theft Auto Vice City is the follow-up to last year's Grand Theft Auto 3. It's not a full sequel to the game. It keeps a lot of the same mechanics that were found in Grand Theft Auto 3. But like any good sequel, it's just bigger, badder, and better. They've managed to cram a whole lot more content in there and made some really nice gameplay additions that will freshen up the game for anyone who's played GTA 3 to death. Probably the biggest obvious change in the gameplay is the addition of motorcycles to the world. There are quite a few different two-wheelers in the game. You can ride scooters and mopeds. There's street bikes, dirt bikes, and big old hogs that you can just really get moving on. A lot of the faster motorcycles are, the fastest vehicles in the game once you get them up to their top speed. But there's some danger associated with that because, pretty much, any, decent-sized crash is going to send you flinging off the bike, which is really cool to see. You take a little bit of damage when you wreck, which is a really nice touch. Vice City also lets you go indoors. You can't walk into every single building in the game, but the buildings that you can walk into are used really well. There's a brief load time associated with walking inside a building, but it doesn't take very long, and the insides of the buildings actually look really nice. The dance club, your hotel, they all look pretty striking. Other smaller tweaks to the gameplay include the ability to duck, which is good because you can get behind cover and it also steadies out your aim. Also helping out your aim is a completely redesigned targeting system. This was one of the minor problems in GTA 3 that kind of let cops sneak up behind you and things like that. But the targeting system in Vice City is much easier to deal with. It'll kind of automatically target your largest foes instead of having to force you to cycle through all your different targets to get to the one that you're trying to hit. This is a pretty huge improvement and definitely cleans up the targeting issues from GTA 3 nicely. As those of you following the game's development already know, Vice City puts you in the role of Tommy Vercetti. Tommy is played by Ray Liotta, and he does a very nice job at voicing the character.
I did not go to law school for this. Okay, now what the hell are we gonna do?
Shut up, sit down, relax. I'll tell you what.
It's a pretty big difference having the character speak in Vice City because the character in GTA 3 was completely silent. That reflects kind of a larger change in the story overall. Rather than just kind of take orders from people, in Vice City you'll kind of eventually become the crime lord of sorts of Vice City and be calling a lot of the shots on your own. Since Tommy will sort of be calling the shots through a good portion of the game, you'll get your missions from a lot of different sources. You'll start out with your own mansion, of course, which lets you kind of shake down people for protection money and basically do kind of mobster sort of things. Like any good mobster, you can also invest your money, in this case into real estate. There's a few different buildings in Vice City that you can purchase, and purchasing these various buildings will let you do mission branches that you wouldn't be able to do otherwise. So if you buy the taxi company, you'll be able to do a series of taxi missions. If you buy the Malibu Club, you'll be able to do a series of Malibu Club missions. There are a handful of different properties throughout the game that once you purchase them open up these missions, and that's kind of how you advance the story along in the later portions of the game. The early portions of the game are set up a lot like GTA 3. You'll have multiple sources to go to, some of which are required, some of which aren't. Some of the optional mission branches include going to the Cubans who are warring with the Haitians, so then you can do missions for the Cubans and then you'll eventually do missions for the Haitians and they'll kind of be warring with one another. You'll be caught in the middle, that sort of deal. You also get missions where you'll be kind of devaluing real estate by blowing up buildings and doing a lot of really cool mission stuff. The mission structure in the game is a lot more complex than GTA 3's. All along, Rockstar has kind of pointed to the bomb the base mission from GTA 3 where you kind of had to do a few different things to complete the mission, a multi-step process to complete it. And a lot of the missions in Vice City are like that. Some of the steps in a multi-part mission aren't all that important. It'll have you go pick up a change of clothes or, go to a respray shop. But a lot of the multi-part missions are definitely deeper and a lot better constructed than many of the fetch missions found in GTA 3. There are a whole lot of vehicles to deal with in Vice City. Of course, there's the new motorcycles. There's also a wide variety of different cars. You'll find kind of your basic 80s sedans. Since it's 1986, you'll see a lot of the kind of larger, basic-looking cars. There's also a lot of the kind of Italian sports car type stuff. You'll see cars that look like Lamborghinis or Ferraris. You'll see a car that sort of looks like a Porsche. And, the standard array of trucks and things like that. There's really a lot of different cars, and as you play the game, you'll see a lot wider variety of cars on the roads. Since Vice City is a Florida city loosely based on Miami, there's also a lot of water to deal with. So the game has a wide variety of boats for you to control as well. There's speed boats, you'll find sailboats, you'll find big cruise ships that you can get on, and the steering in the different boats is a lot different. You'll find different top speeds, and the handling on the different boats is also pretty different from boat to boat. Finally, in the vehicle department, you'll do a lot more flying in Vice City than you did in GTA 3. After a few of the major plot twists, you'll find yourself with the ability to just kind of hop in a helicopter and take off. You can fly high above the city, kind of go wherever you want to go, land it just about wherever you want. There's a lot of rooftops that you can land on. Some of the city's really high skyscrapers are too high for you to land on, but I'd say 99% of the city you can get to by helicopter, which is really cool. When you get up there, you can just kind of see all the way from one half of the city to the other, and it's pretty striking. You also fly a seaplane, and there's a few other hidden ships in there that you can fly around that are pretty impressive. Vice City has a much higher weapon count than GTA 3 did, but it doesn't really feel that much different from GTA 3. Weapons are broken up into classes this time, so you'll be able to hold one submachine gun at a time, one shotgun, one sniper rifle, and that sort of thing. You'll start the game with kind of the lower tiered weapons, and then as you move through the game, you'll find a better submachine gun with a faster rate of fire, and you'll find a shotgun that fires a lot faster, a sniper rifle that's a much steadier shot, and basically the weapons improve over time. You also find a good deal of heavy weapons later in the game. Your rocket launcher, your Gatling gun, your M60. These are all pretty cool, and it's kind of a nice touch. What they've done is your movement speed is different depending on what weapon you're currently holding. So if you have a pistol or a submachine gun, you can run at full speed. If you have a shotgun, you can't run at all, but you can still move at normal speed. But if you have, say, the chainsaw or the flamethrower out, you're going to kind of lumber up the street really slowly. It's pretty cool. It makes kind of an interesting balance between, getting the heavy weapons out and, kind of staying with the lighter guns that let you get away from the action in a hurry if you need to. You also find more melee weapons in Vice City. Again, you can only hold one of these at a time, but you can get a baseball bat, which is standard from GTA 3. You can also get a machete, a hatchet, a screwdriver, a hammer, a chainsaw. And so there's kind of a cool variety here. The machete is cool. It kind of acts a lot like the baseball bat, and the chainsaw probably isn't quite as satisfying as you would think a chainsaw could be, but the weapons are all pretty functional. You also find some wackier stuff kind of out in the world. For instance, if you get in a golf cart out on the golf course, you'll get a golf club, which basically acts a lot like the baseball bat, but makes a different noise, and there's just something charming about beating someone to death with a golf club. While Vice City basically runs on the same engine that powered GTA 3, the team at Rockstar North have made quite a lot of improvements to the game visually. The first thing you'll notice is that the draw distance is a lot further out. So when you're driving up the road, you can basically see a lot further ahead of you. This really helps when you're up in a helicopter or a plane, because you can just see for miles, and it's really striking. It looks really, really nice. All the textures in the game are really well done. Tommy's Hawaiian shirt and his various suits. The game is really bright and colorful. You kind of figure, this is what Miami would look like in 1986. The fashion's all really well done. There's some really great lighting effects in the game. You'll see cars kind of coming into the distance and the sun kind of shining off their windshield, and that's a really nice effect. At night, some of the buildings will light up with neon, and that just all looks really great. There's a lot of really nice lighting effects in the game, and overall it just really looks fantastic. Stylistically, the car models, the player models, the clothing, everything is just kind of spot on what you would expect from this sort of parody of kind of 80s television and film, and the team has really done a great job with the style in the game. As awesome as the game looks graphically, there are a few slight problems with the frame rate. You get into these big police chases, and you see a ton of cars on screen wrecking into each other, and particle effects kind of shooting off all of these cars as they crash. The frame rate will take a hit, similar to the one found on GTA 3. But considering how much better the game looks than GTA 3 in every other way, it's not really that big of an issue, and the slowdown never really gets in the way of gameplay at all. As important as the graphics are to kind of setting the tone and the style for the game to take place in 1986, the audio really does a great job of that as well. All the game sound effects are really spot on, from the weapons fire to the sound of squealing tires to tires being shot out to glass breaking, explosions, just all the weapons chopping people up, the pedestrian voices. Everything in the game just sounds correct, like it really belongs there. The voice acting, again, is really amazing throughout the game. Ray Liotta does a fantastic job, and he's joined by a pretty amazing cast of characters. There's a lot of Hollywood voice talent in there. You find Gary Busey, Philip Michael Thomas, which, he was in Miami Vice, so if you're going to get someone to be in Vice City, Philip Michael Thomas is the man. And he kind of plays your sidekick character in a couple of spots, so it's kind of a funny nod to the past there. You also find Luis Guzman, Danny Trejo, and a pretty wide collection of others. All the game's voices are really believably done, and they're done in a humorous way. You'll find some kind of stereotypical things here and there about the 80s. You'll find the typical Valley Girl kind of thing, but it rarely feels hokey. GTA 3's radio stations were also an important part of the audio, helping to kind of set the tone for the game. In Vice City, they're probably even more important to kind of put you in that 1986 setting. You'll find radio stations devoted to different styles of music. There's a rock station, a pop station, a new wave station, a Spanish language station. There are 2 talk radio stations, and each one of the stations has its own vibe, and of course its own DJ, its own set of commercials, and they all really kind of put you in the world of Vice City. While the DJs sort of took center stage in GTA 3, the music really does so in Vice City. The music is all licensed, and they've actually released a 7-disc soundtrack set of the music. You'll find a lot of different artists on the soundtrack, and they all kind of create a lot of moments where a song will come on and you'll go, oh my god, I can't believe they put that song in here. There's Michael Jackson, Judas Priest, Kool and the Gang, Nena, get some 99 Luke Ballones on. There's the music is really fantastic. It covers a ton of ground genre-wise, and really, really brings a lot to the atmosphere of the game. In the end, Vice City is a classic example of how to design a sequel. It keeps everything that was fantastic about GTA 3, fixes a lot of the smaller problems that the game had, and just adds a ton of content. The missions are bigger, they're better designed, you'll do bigger and better things. You kind of feel like you're really more of a part of the story rather than just kind of running errands for the real players in the game. In Vice City, Tommy is the player in Vice City, and you're kind of running around doing his bidding, or in this case, your bidding. All the additional content, the weapons, the vehicles, the audio, just everything is a notch or two above what GTA 3 was. And as a result, anyone who was a fan of GTA 3 and anyone who's a fan of games in general should get a really big kick out of the game.